Hi, and welcome to The Curling Show, the podcast that brings you interviews with the sport's top athletes and the people who shaped the game. Brought to you by Fit to Curl, a sport-specific guide to training for the world's greatest game by Olympic gold medalist, Team Martin third, and blogger at curling.ca, John Morris, with a bit of help from me, Dean Gemmell. Make good on your New Year's resolution by following a program. There's one that will suit you no matter what your fitness level or curling aspirations might be. And you should feel better on the ice, make a few more shots, and brush more effectively. To get your copy of Fit to Curl, visit fittocurl.com or pick one up at your favorite pro shop. The skip of the team that captured the 2010 Canada Cup and a semifinalist last weekend at the Swiss Chalet National, Glenn Howard, welcome back to The Curling Show.
Well, thanks very much. Great to be back, Dean.
Good to have you again. I don't know. I know the last we saw you, of course, you're losing to Jeff Stoughton, but you also won the Canada Cup in Medicine Hat in December. So all in all, a pretty good month for you. Even better, no runner-up finishes in there, Glenn.
Yeah, good point. It was a good month. We've had an average year. It hasn't been our best year to date, but the December has been good. We capped it off with a really great win in Medicine Hat in the Canada Cup with Wayne Middaugh playing third for me, and then we had a real good run last weekend in Vernon and ran up against a really hot Jeff Stoughton team. They made everything, and you don't feel too bad when you lose those games when the guys make everything against you. So what do you do? It was a semifinal, and like you said, it wasn't a runner-up. I'm sick and tired of being a runner-up.
They just about made everything against Kevin Martin, too, but didn't quite win.
Yeah, I didn't see. We were flying back, I guess, during the final, and I think Jeff had a double to win. I think he had to make a double to get his deuce coming home, and I picked him to win the game because they were playing the whole four of them were making everything, and I just thought if they keep that going, they'll beat Kevin. And lo and behold, I guess Jeff missed his last one. I don't know how tough it was, but again, I was a little surprised to see that he lost.
Well, it was a shot that was tough for me, but not for Jeff. And, they thought they couldn't hit it too thin, and then, of course, they did, which is what usually happens when you say that, right?
So, yeah, exactly.
Hey, you mentioned playing with Wayne and Wayne Middaugh in the Canada Cup, and, that certainly seemed to work well. I mean, you've got one of the, great thirds of all time playing with you for the last number of years, Richard Hart, and still playing with you, of course, but I'm not the only one who watches you and Wayne play together and knows we know you're friends off the ice, and it sure feels natural to you. I mean, is that? I'm not the only one who wonders when does that happen permanently.
Well, I don't know. We've never talked about it being permanent by any stretch. It was strictly fill in some Rich Hart's boots, and we talked about it back in the summer. Rich said he wanted to take a couple spiels off, and he more or less looked at the spiels that were long, and he didn't want to be away from work and home that much this year. And the Canada Cup being virtually a week long, we left Monday night and came back Monday, so it was a full week long. And he says, I just can't do it. So he decided to take that off, and then it was Portage La Prairie. So we decided, we had to come up with a player, and to me it was a no-brainer. Wayne wasn't curling a ton at the time, and he felt that I approached him and said, "Are you interested in playing?" And of course, Craig and Brent were on board, and he jumped to the chance. And like you said, we know each other so well. We played, as you know, we won a world championship together. We played 4 or 5 years of solid competitive curling together. Then I still curl him every Tuesday night for the last 20 years. We still play together. So I know him inside and out. He knows me inside and out. We're really good friends. It was just it was a match made in heaven, really. And the only question was how Wayne would adjust to playing third, and because he's never of all the positions out there, he's never played third. And what I was impressed with was he knows the game so well, and he knows that each position is a little bit different. And he was able to walk into a team that he's not totally familiar with, but he understands how we tick. And he did all the right things. He played the position great. He was a cheerleader when he had to be. He was a strategist when he had to be, and he made a ton of shots. He played remarkably well in that Canada Cup, and he was obviously a big part of why we won.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly, seemed like a natural fit, and that's why I think everybody looks at it and says, boy, it looks natural. It's interesting, you and Wayne, you talked about it. You played together, of course, with your brother Russ, and had all the great years together. Then after Russ moved to New Brunswick, Wayne had moved on to another team, and you sort of had a bit of a fallow period, I guess, but there was really no room to play with Wayne, who had Cracks McCarroll playing with him then, who some thought was the greatest player in the world at the time. Is it You ever look back, though, and wonder, I mean, slightly different circumstances, you guys might have played together for 20 years.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I actually, the truth be known, at that time, Dean, I approached Wayne. I just said, hey, is there any position on the team that I could fit into? Because I didn't know where I was going. I was lost. I was lost. When Russ left, I had no idea what I was going to do. I dabbled skip, and I finished that year when Russ left. I finished that year as a skip. I hadn't played since junior. I had no desire to skip. And I actually approached Ray and said, is there a position? Obviously, he's running pretty hot at this time, and he felt bad, but he says, no, Glenn, I really don't. I've got everything set for me. And I said, I understand. And so, we could easily have hooked up, but it obviously would have been, I was either playing second or third or whatever, and that didn't come into play. And then, lo and behold, it was shortly after that Rich phoned me, and that's when I sort of started my skipping career, and I had no desire to skip. It really was never really on the radar at all, and it was more or less by default. And when you get one of the best thirds in the game, and I've always very, very much respected Rich Hart through the years, and I knew that he was one of the best. And when he approaches me and thinks I can be a good skip, then that's sort of half the battle. And it took me a while. I had to learn it, but it's got better and better. But it's funny how things come around. And again, Wayne and I still continue to be great friends. And who knows, maybe somewhere down the road. But we've never really talked about it ever since like the mid-'90s.
John Kawaja has suggested Rich call you, right?
Oh, I don't know.
I think it was Kawaja suggested Rich. He said, I'm not playing anymore. You should call Glenn Howard, who's probably the best shooter around. That's what I think. Anyways, maybe you didn't know that.
That may have. Rich has never told me that story, but that wouldn't. I guess. Somebody did say something about that in the past, and again, that's coming from one of the best thirds that ever played the game. Johnny K was just unbelievable, and the game sort of misses him because he was amazing.
Yeah, it's too bad when he hung up the boots, but he's done pretty well in the golf business, so I guess you can't blame him. Hey, Wayne seems revitalized. I don't want to make this all about Wayne. I'm talking to you, but he seems revitalized in part, I think, playing with your son and a young guy in the lineup. Yeah,
I really give Wayne a lot of credit for picking him up. Like obviously Scott, he's known my son since birth, and he obviously respects my son and as a person and as a player. And then for him to pick him up, and this is the big leagues. This isn't Tuesday night mixed curling. This is the big boys, and he wants to put the best team together he possibly can. And for him to include my son in the mix was a real good feather in the cap for Scott. And I think he likes his demeanor. He loves Scott's whole disposition is great, and he fits the mold well. And I know they're really good friends. They get along well, and you're right. I think he's that youthful exuberance. Like Scott, he's played 16 weeks in a row, so that just goes to show you how keen he is. And he does. He lights a fire under the old guy's butt, and I agree with you. I think Wayne is he's sort of got a little bit rejuvenated, maybe a little bit reborn, and that's bad for the rest of us. If I'm playing against him, that's not a good thing. But great to see it because he's been one of the best curlers that ever played the game, and I think it's really cool to see him out there, with a lot of excitement, a lot of fire in his step. And you're right. I think it's part and parcel of his new team with Joe and Scott Foster. They're pumped up. It's really good to see.
He showed himself to be a tremendous sweeper with you too.
Okay, now we're pushing it, right?
Exactly.
Now we're going one step too far.
I think he might need that off-season program if he's going to play third, but he's going to have to get on the fitness program you're on.
He claims he's just smart enough. He knows when to sweep and when not to sweep, but it has really nothing to do with smartness. It has everything to do with physique.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of sweeping, what's your take on John Meade, one of the most popular guys on tour? What do you think of his comments after he lost to Kevin Martin in the final, where he said, I don't know how anyone can win a slam throwing it that bad. It's all brushing. It really is.
Wow, I didn't know he said that, but ironically enough, I did talk to John after they played him. They played Kevin during the round robin, and he was shocked at how differently, let's say, that Kevin was throwing it. And Kevin he's sort of mastered it. He's got a little different throw going, and I think it's kind of an outside in release that I think he feels that he's got the horses on the front end that they can hold it, and it's working for him. And John's not far off. I think there's a lot of merit in that. I think Kevin, he's throwing it that way on purpose, but it's also he's really relying on the horses on the front end, and they seem to be holding the rock for him and making a lot of shots. So maybe maybe there's some merit in that comment. Surprised that John would bring it up, but I think there's some truth to that.
Well, I haven't talked to John about it. I don't know the context either. It might have been meant as anything as a compliment to the Brushers as it was a knock on the way Kevin was throwing it. But he was. I mean, he threw some that out of his hand didn't look like they were going to get by guards, and they sure did. So. Well,
it's funny. We've noticed that over the last couple of years that you swear out of his hand there's no chance, and let's face it, Benny Heaves and Kennedy are unreal when it comes to sweeping. Yeah. So if anybody can get it by, it's going to be them, and that's a credit to the front end, and it's a credit to Kevin as well. He knows he can throw it tight and get away with it, and. I feel sort of the same way with my guys. You just you throw it wide. You can't use the people that you have. You can't. If the guys are good sweepers, use them. So you don't want to. You throw it on the broom or throw it a little tight. And at least you can use the guys. Whereas if you throw it set it out and throw it a little wide, they're useless. They just sit and watch it and throwing it heavy, right? So we all miss shots and we all do things that way. But if you've got the other thing too is if you think you've got a front end that's that good. And you end up throwing it a little snug, but you tend to make a lot of shots anyway because you're throwing it confidently, right?
Right.
So I think there's a lot of merit in that.
Now, you talked about your team season until the Canada Cup. Not the greatest for you guys. I saw you playing in Brantford, and it was that spiel. You're sort of snake bit in that one, anyways, in the Sun Life, I think, right? But just a bit of trouble getting up for this year, or what?
I don't want to believe that. I really don't, and I'm not going to use that as an excuse because I hate complacency, and I think that's where this is going. But I don't believe that's the case. I just think we just haven't been as sharp. Whether it's a collective thing where all four of us aren't quite as sharp as we used to be, we're definitely losing more games than we normally do, and we're normally used to. And I don't like that personally. I don't like that at all because I don't. I'm at the twilight of my career, and I want to keep going up and up. And if I'm going to keep playing, I want to be at the top of our game. So it's a bit of a bone of contention with us right now. We want to get it going. We want to get back to where the level we're accustomed to. We're not going to win every spiel. We're not going to win every game, but we've sort of maintained somewhere in a low 80s percentage of winning percentage. And you win 8 out of 10 games, you're going to do very well on the circuit, especially at this level. And we're a little bit under that this year, and it's something that I'm not really happy about, and I don't think my other three guys are as well. And so it's just a matter of sitting back. Let's figure out what we're doing. We're losing games we probably shouldn't, and figure out why. And we can't overly pinpoint what it is, but we're definitely not playing as well as we normally have as collectively, and we got to fix that.
You mentioned being in the twilight of your career. You're certainly still. I think it looks like you got a lot of years left, but I mean, you're creeping up on 50. Do you think about what you do without the game? Have you wondered what you would do all winter if you didn't curl? Would you play seniors? Would you do that?
It's funny, I have thought about it a little bit, and right now I don't see I have no idea what I would do. Probably stay at home and snowmobile, maybe. Seniors, maybe I might dabble in seniors. I wouldn't go too crazy, I don't think. I've missed out a lot of family holidays, and I've missed out a lot of time off for myself. So I think that if I do pack it in, I will probably curl just a little bit. I'll never give the game up. I love the game too much. I would still have my hand in it for sure. I am very competitive. I do like to compete and have fun and win, and I'm not one for going half-assed, so that would be a bit of a problem, be able to go, to distinguish between super competitive and not. But maybe seniors. I've had my old junior curling team have talked about getting together for seniors, and different guys have talked to me about it. I definitely would never do it until I was done the men's ranks. I wouldn't do both because I just don't have the time. But I still think I've got a few years left. But I'm a realist too. Like, I'm 48. I'm not as if I'm going to be 55 and still going hard at this. So somewhere in between 40 and 55 is going to be a time where I'm going to get out of bed and I'm going to say to my wife, okay, it's done. It's time to pack this thing because I really don't want to go throw rocks. And that's good. That's always been my thermometer, whether it's, if I want to go throw rocks and I don't feel like it, then I think it's time to pack it in.
It's a good point. Good way to look at it, I guess. I'm sure there's a lot of young guys waiting for that day, for that whole crop of you guys. Stouty, Kevin, you. Yeah. It's unbelievable. I watch, you're watching the last Grand Slam and the finals again, or the semis. Wayne, you, Jeff, and Kevin. It's 20 years of this stuff, Glenn.
It's truly you know what, Dean? I still mind boggle at that because But part of it is because, there's some great young curlers out there. They just don't have the time to devote like we do, because we're at the point of our careers, and we have time, holidays, whatever the case may be, we can spend extra time at this game, whereas the kids today can't. They just don't. They either have a career that they only get a 2 or 3 weeks off to be able to play in the big spiels, or there's a couple of, piecemeal few out there that are hanging on. What's impressive is a team like McEwen, where these guys are young and they've stayed together and they're still going at it and they're doing what you have to do. They're going out and bonspieling every weekend against the big boys, and they're right there with us now. They're as good, or if not better, than all of us, and they're proving it. The problem is that to get 4 guys that are able to do that at that age is difficult, and that's you see it more in the women's ranks. I don't quite know why, but
husbands.
Yeah, maybe, eh? But the men's, it's the same old, and I still marvel at that, even though I think that what I was saying, it has a lot to do with it. But it's amazing. You still see Martin and Stoughton and Howard and Middaugh and Furby and this sort of thing, and sooner or later we're all going to pack it in. So I guess that's when the new regime pops up.
Well, I mean, I think you guys, and I'm not trying to blow smoke up your skirt here, Glenn, but I think you guys were a special group of players. But you're right. I mean, the reality is the best time to play is probably right now. Like for a guy like you, your kids are older, you got time, and the reality is it's tougher when you're younger. Do you think Russ misses it?
Oh, I'm sure he does. I know how competitive Russ was. I know how great a curler he is. If he knew that he could compete with the 3 other guys at the level we're at right now, he'd be doing it. And I think he's just not sure if he can, find 3 other guys that are going to willing to do it and to fit the mold. And I know him. Like if you were to call him up tomorrow to play in a bonspiel next week, he'd go out and throw rocks every day. Like he just would be that. He would want it because he loves it that much. And he's the thing with him though is he's kept himself in the game. He still plays a little bit. He plays seniors, and now he's with TSN, and he's going to enjoy it through that. But if he had his chance, I think he'd just as soon be right out there with us.
Yeah, but he's got the nice gig now though. So
does he ever? That is a terrific gig for sure.
All right, Glenn, we finished with a run back. I give you a topic. You give me your thoughts in 1 to 3 words.
Okay.
Roy Arndt winning the A side in Wayne's Ontario zone.
Surprising.
And how about Wayne losing the B final to Mike Harris?
Shocking.
Wow, yeah, think about that, Roy and Mike.
Yeah, real surprising.
Rob Ford, Mayor of Toronto.
Had no idea.
The Don Cherry speech at City Hall.
Quite funny.
Jason Gunlickson's not so great Russian adventure.
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous, right? Well,
yes.
What's your take on it? I mean, you think he ridiculous for the Russians or ridiculous all around?
I'm ridiculous for the Russians. I'm not a big. To me, if you're born in Canada, you play for Canada. If you're born in the United States, you play for the United States, unless you move. And if you are born in Canada and you move to Russia permanently, you can play for the Russian Federation. But going over there and living there for a couple of months and playing, I don't have any time for it. Do I blame Gunlickson? Not at all. If those 4 guys want to give, they want to pay them $100,000 each and go play, great. But I can't believe that it was allowed, and so I wasn't a big fan of that at all. Just the whole grand scheme of things, and then for it to fall through, there's obviously a miscommunication there that something was missed, and. It doesn't surprise me that it fell through because to me, it seemed like a ridiculous idea.
Yeah, I mean, people were, like I said before, people were saying, Gunner should have dotted his I's and crossed his T's. I imagine negotiating with the Russian Curling Federation is like hitting a moving target. So.
No, you can't. We're missing. There's an awful lot of information we're missing from that whole story, I think. And again, I don't blame the guys for doing it. I personally wouldn't do it, and to each his own. But I just don't believe in the fact that it should be allowed. How's that?
All right. Equalizer brush heads.
New revolutionized the game.
So you guys are using those. They actually sound different when you're on television. It sounds like a pair of corduroys. Yeah,
I think they're super effective. I've noticed it already in the last. We've used them for the last few spiels, and I think it's gonna be like the big, the large head on the tennis racket, or the bigger sweet spot on a driver. Now they're going to be able to. I think you can be. You don't have to use as much effort to be as effective, and then you maybe can use more effort near the end of the shot because they're more effective. And I think it's just going to make curling a little bit easier.
It's a good thing Wayne had them. I'm really ripping on Wayne sweeping,
we had an extra hot head for him.
Yeah, extra hot. Yeah. It seems to me that when I've tried them, it seems like they will not wear out as quickly. Like, do you guys use them a little longer than the other ones? Or?
We do. You're exactly right. It's a little bit different material. The head material is a different, as you know, there's that sort of that insulating material underneath, but the material is a little bit different as well. So yeah, I think they're going to last a little bit longer, and there's no question in my mind they're more effective.
And finally, Kerry Burtnick, 5th player for Garth Smith.
I had no idea that was the case. Wow, is that
you know what?
real?
It's a good thing you guys on tour talk to me, because I have to break all the news to you.
5th man for Garth Smith. What is that all about?
He's going to the provincials. Garth qualified to go to the provincials, so Kerry's a 5th. I mean, I don't know if it's a coaching position or he's sliding in when they decide they're not going. Well, that thing, if you're going badly, you only lose a couple and you're out, right? So
that's right. That's right. Well, friend, you know what? I think Kerry Burtnick's awesome, and I'm glad to see you still in the game.
All right.
I think that's fabulous.
There's lots of stories in Manitoba there this year. Kevin Park.
Is there ever?
Yeah.
Is there ever?
The Kevin Park saga, Gunner, and then we've got, like you said, Mike McEwen, the hottest team on tour for a while.
Yeah. It's endless material there in Manitoba.
All right, Glenn, I'm going to let you get back to your holiday prep, I guess, or whatever you're doing. But I give everybody a chance to name their sponsors. I know you guys actually have a new one this year, so give me your sponsor list.
We do. A brand new sponsor this year is Swiffer, which is the parent company's Procter & Gamble. We also have the Dominion Insurance. We have Hartwell Electric. We have JVC Electronics. And we have Balance Plus Curling Supplies.
All right. That's a good group. They've been a good group for you. So thanks for your time, Glenn. I know it's a busy time of year, so get back to your family, and we'll talk again.
My pleasure, Dean, and have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you. That's Glenn Howard on The Curling Show, a conversation that was recorded just a couple of days before Christmas. If you want to curl well as you get older, probably not as well as Glenn Howard, but maybe better than you are right now, start the new year by training with the programs in Fit to Curl by John Morris, the first book on curling-specific training. It's available at fittocurl.com and at Better Curling Pro Shops. As we close out 2010, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who regularly listens to this podcast. Here's the perfect band to ring in the new year. Find their music in the iTunes store. Black Pudding.